You're in a good place now. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Berges.
Hi, and welcome back to the Ashley Berges Podcast. Okay, in today's show, I want to pose the question, do they actually want help, or do they want an audience for their chaos? Many of us have a relative, a spouse, or a friend who needs help. They need therapy, counseling, coaching. They need to go that extra mile to work on themselves. And you've probably done a lot of the work in the background, but things seem to not work out. In today's podcast, I want to cover the 6 main ways to know when someone doesn't really want help, when they just really want you to be a part of their 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week chaos and take you down with them. This is important to recognize because many of us can work really hard and actually become an enabler if we're not aware of what's going on. So let's begin with, how do you know when someone really doesn't want help? The first indication is that they say they will work with a therapist or a coach, but they don't follow through. And so many of you may have checked online, gone, onto YouTube, looking for people. You've actually reached out to the office. Maybe you've gone online and contacted them, even got the phone numbers for your significant other or for your friend or family member, and nothing happens. Maybe you've even gone far enough as to set up the appointment, give them the information, be there so that they can get on the chat with the therapist online. Doesn't happen. Maybe you've gotten them all the way into the session and they do the session, but they're not taking any responsibility or they're not talking about their situation. They're trying to blame other people. Maybe you've actually gotten them to go to several therapy sessions and things were actually working out and the therapist was actually aware of what's happening. They weren't clueless. So they were actually give them really good information and knowledge. But then soon they decided that therapist wasn't good. They weren't right. They don't want to deal with that person. That person doesn't have the information or the knowledge, or I don't like them. Interesting. And one of the things that I find with people who don't want help is that they're not going to get help. The concept of getting help, they don't want to deal with. They don't want to actually follow through. They don't want to find someone on their own. And the easiest thing to keep you at bay is to keep saying, oh, yes, I'm looking for someone. I'm looking for someone. But they often never find anyone to work with. The next awareness piece is that they blame others for their problems. So instead of seeing the role that they play in the issues in their life, they blame everybody else, whether it's blaming you, a sibling, an outside friend, another family member, whoever it might be. They blame that person for all of their problems. I wouldn't have these problems if it wasn't for them. I wouldn't have these problems if it wasn't for you. And so they switch the blame up, making you the problem person or someone else outside of the marriage or outside of the family the problem person, so that they can always use that person or you as the scapegoat in their life. If it wasn't for this person, I would have this, this, and that. If it wasn't for that person in our life, I would be employed or I would be a different person. It's that person's problem. It's that person's issues. They're the reason for the downfall of my life. And it's easy to blame someone else for your problems. It's easy to blame a situation for your problems. Many people blame a situation that took place in their life a long time ago, and because of the situation, I have these problems. And I can speak from my perspective, being a coach and working with clients all over the world. We all have our problems. We've all dealt with things in our life that didn't help us, that pushed us back, that hurt us, that mentally and emotionally scarred us. But we have to overcome that. We have to overcome that so we can be the person we are today. Now, it's interesting. These people, if they don't want help, will blame the situation, blame the circumstance, blame financials, blame drugs, alcohol. And once they're done blaming things, then they move on to people, because that's easier to blame, because you can actually blame a person. And then you switch people that you blame. And when people leave their life and they can no longer blame that particular person, they will find someone else to blame who's currently in their life, because it'll keep on moving. Okay. And that's always an interesting dynamic too, is that I have clients that work with me and their significant other is blaming everybody else for their problems, their issues, their inability to do X, Y, Z. But when that person is the outside source of blame goes away, guess what? They find someone else. So even if you eliminate all your friends, there will be somebody that your spouse or significant other or family member will blame for their problem. And it'll be somebody that you probably know or somebody that they're connected to or a family member of. And so that's one of the biggest keys is that I've realized that until we're ready to stop blaming, we're not taking responsibility. Another aspect is that there is no accountability and they don't take responsibility for their actions and choices. Okay, if you don't have accountability and you don't take responsibility, you are not adulting. You are not a healthy adult. You are still a child in an adult body that has decided to take no responsibility, to take no accountability, and to put it on everyone else. The problem with this is crazy actions, unhealthy choices, reactions that they think of nothing that's going to happen. They don't think about consequences. Consequences are no longer a part of anything. There is no consequences in their mind that something could come back after a situation. They'll do things and they don't think about that. That's not even part of their thought process. And so, for example, if you get angry or if you pose a question about them, when are you going to get off the couch? When are you going to go get a job? When are you going to get counseling? When are you going to get therapy? When are we going to right these wrongs? When are you going to take care of your alcohol addiction or whatever that is? They will respond back, usually not very in kind, very argumentative, fighting, maybe escalating the fight, because they're wanting to shut you up. In an effort to shut you up, they will get angry, they can get violent. And this is very scary sometimes. If you're married to this person or you're in a family dynamic with this person where you live under the same roof with this person, you're constantly doing damage control. And so you might be dealing with all kinds of people outside of the relationship, whatever it happens to be. Maybe it's other family members. Maybe you live in a community around other people who are calling the police and saying, hey, they were screaming and yelling and all this stuff's going on. And so you have security issues. So there are all these things that happen. And so what happens, though, as you know, if you're in the situation, they're not taking responsibility. They're not stopping their actions. And when you bring it up, they say, you're the reason why I did that. If you hadn't have said that, I wouldn't have done that. You're the reason why I reacted that way. So again, putting the blame back on you. Fourth, they project their insecurities and mental issues upon you and tell you that you are the problem. Okay, projection. Okay, when somebody has issues, problems they don't want to deal with, they don't want to take responsibility, they will project it onto the other person. They will project it. Look at you. You have a problem. Look at you. Are you okay? Oh my gosh. Are you all right? Do you need to see a therapist? I think something's wrong with you. Do you go out looking like that? Because are you made fun of or what? I just don't want you going out, in public being made fun of. Because you're sure going to be made fun of, like looking like that or acting like that. And so you become the problem. You become the person that can't do anything right. You become the person that keeps doing everything wrong. You're the person that can't get things right. Even though you've gotten these things right your whole life, apparently these aren't right. Everything you do is wrong. Everything you say is wrong. Everything you wear is wrong. The way you chew is wrong. The way you eat whatever cereal is wrong. You are wrong. And they will project and project and project their problems, their issues upon you. And what they're doing is they're just degrading you over a period of time. They keep degrading you and degrading you and degrading you because they have these issues. And subconsciously, they do know that. And to a degree, consciously, they do as well. But they know that you're going to leave them or not be there for them if you realize your value. God forbid you realize your value and say, why am I in this horrible relationship with someone that will not get help? Or why am I living in this situation? Or I might be a family member. I might be a sister or brother, but why aren't I not getting this person help? I might be a parent. Why aren't I not getting this person checked in to get some help and some therapy or some actual medical attention or a constant coach to work with them to really recognize their issues and be able to be more mindful? Okay, and so we end up realizing as they continue to project and you start getting yourself beaten down over a period of time, you begin to see this projection. Because at the beginning, you're not seeing it. At the beginning, a lot of times when you're in these relationships, unfortunately, you are enabling them because you wouldn't have been in this relationship. There has to be a time where enabling started. Okay, where you saw the issues, you saw the problems, you chose to overlook the problems, you chose to overlook the issues, you chose to overlook the need for help, and you believe, I can do this on my own. I can help them wake up. I can help them figure out their life. I can get therapy for them. Because they're going to listen to me. They're going to figure it out. Maybe just a little bit more love and support, and they'll come around. They'll come around. This is going to be fine. This is going to be easy. This is not a big deal. This will all work out. And I get it. And that there's a time for that. Everybody has to go through that time. Everybody has to go through that experience of trying, and then failing. And the only thing that's the same is that person has all the same amount of energy to fight you still. And now you feel almost a void of all the energy that you've lost trying to get this person help. The next is interesting because they will find flying monkeys and enablers to agree with them. I'm serious. And you might say, well, where are they finding these people? They don't have a lot of friends. They don't really have any friends. Where are they finding these people? Well, okay, social media is perfect. Putting something on social media, on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. Oh, I hate my life, or my spouse is so mean, it's so judgmental, so narcissistic. Oh, they're such a narcissist. Oh my God, this is horrible. Calling people up that maybe they don't know that well and telling them a story, the narrative, right? The narrative of their narrative. And getting these flying monkeys around. Oh, are you okay? Are you fine? Oh, I feel so bad for you. What's going on? Oh, they must be abusive. Oh, they're horrible. And so they find people, no matter how close they are or how not close they are, maybe they've never met each other and they were like Facebook messaging back and forth, and now they're friends. Never met each other, never seen each other, probably don't even know who they're really talking to on the phone, but now they're talking about all kinds of things. And this person is like literally giving them the fuel to continue this narrative. And this is real. Okay, so the more people they can get to believe the narrative, the more that the narrative holds water. So the more that they get people to believe the narrative, the more they believe the narrative, because they've conned all these people into believing it. So it has to be real. And so therefore the narrative's real. Now you have all these flying monkeys around. Now also we have to be careful, because at one point in time, usually if you've been in a relationship with someone like this over a period of time, you are an enabler, you were an enabler, maybe you are looking and watching this podcast and listening to this podcast, you're like, oh my God, I've been enabling this behavior. And I'll give you an example of enabling. Let's say that they go crazy, get drunk, break things in the house, pass out, and you're over there, instead of just letting them deal with their own stuff the next day, you're over there cleaning up the kitchen, cleaning up the floors, trying to clean up all the glass or whatever's broken, doing all these things. Maybe the next day, having breakfast and acting like it never happened. Enabler. I could put like red flags all over that. You are literally enabling somebody to continue the behavior because there is no responsibility. There is no accountability, because you're going to take care of it in the end. And I know you say, okay, well, what do I do then? What you do is you let them stew in their own crap. And so they pull some crap that they do probably often, and instead of being the cleaner and the cleanup crew and the 911, you over there and you're coddling them, you're taking care of things. Stop that. Step back. Start looking at what you're doing. You are literally doing everything for someone, and you're actually hurting them. You are not allowing them to take responsibility. You're not allowing them to even see the truth of what their life has become. Because if you were to walk out tomorrow and leave them in this state, within a few days, if they don't have anybody else to take care of them, they will be walking the streets. And in a few days, in a few weeks, in a few months, in a few years, they will be unable to take care of themselves because they cannot take care of themselves now. You are enabling them. All this enablement makes somebody even worse. And the problem with the enablement is, when does it stop? But also, they hate you for it, even though they bully you and push you down and push your boundaries and push your boundaries. The more you allow that to be, the more they cannot respect you, because you have become an absolute doormat. When you become the doormat, they don't listen to anything you have to say. Because what does it matter what you have to say? You're going to do anything anyway for them. You're going to back down anyway. They've watched you back down over and over and over again. And they know that if they push that button, if they say that situation, if they bring up a situation from the past, if they bring up somebody, if they bring up anything, that it's going to upset you. It's going to anger you. It's going to make you get angry. And then if you get angry or you yell or you do whatever, see, you're horrible. You're abusive. You're a bad person. You're the reason why I am the way I am. And this is how they work. And this is their MO. And so if you're in this situation, please listen up, because this is really the only way. You have to think about it this way, and you have to see the truth. When you're enabling them, you get stuck in their chaos, and it's almost like they love it. They have made your life 24/7 chaos. They're loving it. You are part of their show, their soap opera. You are a side piece cast for the soap opera, and they're just running game. They're just the center of attention, and you're over there cleaning up. You're the maid. You're the maid in the soap opera, right? They're the main star, the main hit. The billboard is their face, and you're the housekeeper in the show. That's what you do. That's your deal. Seriously, I mean, you need to really honestly understand that. When you're an enabler in someone else's life, you've become their unpaid housekeeper to clean up their stuff, to wipe their ass on a daily basis. And guess what they do? They turn around and beat you down for it. You don't get a medal of it. They're not nice to you. They actually know that they can continue to beat you down even more. So now that they know that you can get down to that level, okay, now I'm going to really take out their self-esteem. Now I'm going to really go after them, okay? And there you are, still enabling. Maybe they'll come around. Maybe they'll be that person I wanted them to be. Maybe they'll be that person that I met in the very beginning of the relationship, which wasn't real. That beginning concept in the relationship, that attitude, that personality was not real. It was generated to be what they thought you wanted to have. And they were very good at it. They knew how to give you attention, how to love bomb you, how to give you the right sex, love on you just right. Guess what? And then all of a sudden, yeah, come move in with me. And guess what? A few months later, things changed. Things really changed. And if you got married, things changed a whole hell of a lot. And you're like, well, what happened to those first 6 months? Those were really good. Those 6 months were great. What happened? I thought that was him. I thought that was her. No, it wasn't him or her. It was their 6 months. It was their character acting. Their character acting, right? Their character acting. So, it's like, what do you have there? You had nothing. You had nothing. Central casting, you had nothing. So what did you have? You had nothing. And the sad thing is that we enable them because we feel like they will come back around. Oh, if I just give them time, if I just do this, if I just love them more, if I just buy them more stuff, if I just take them to more trips, they'll get over it. They'll be better. Nope, doesn't happen. And another concept is they never want solution. Constant controversy, constant argument. They don't intend on solution. They're not going to find a solution with you, okay? They're not going to find a solution with you. They're not going to give in to you. They're not going to accept your reality. They're not going to change, okay? So it's like you're constantly looking for them to resolve these issues, come to an understanding, get to solution, but it never happens. You're always in a circular argument on a constant basis. The circular argument is constant. There is never solution. It's the same argument, then it's projection. Then they project on you. Then they manipulate you. Then they gaslight you. Then they project on you. Then you enable them to do it. Then you do it again. We do it again. And we do it again. And we do it again. It's this constant dance. See, everybody's playing their role. The enabler, the person that doesn't want help, right? By enabling, we continue the chaos. We allow for more and more chaos, more and more chaos. We're allowing it. We're continuing to star, obviously a very small role in their soap opera. But we're still there. We're still showing up, not getting paid. And I think one of the biggest issues is that you are scared that if they leave you or you leave them or you move on, that they're going to find someone else and all these issues with them are going to disappear. All these issues are going to disappear and they're going to find some other person and they're going to love that person and cherish that person and be with that person and have this amazing relationship with this person. All that you thought was going to happen in those first 3 months. And see, that's wrong. They will put on that persona like they did with you, geared to this specific person. They know how to do that. They're not stupid. They know how to play the game. And they will put that persona on just like they lured you in. They lured you into the situation. They're like, come on. And you're like, oh, wow, this feels great. This is awesome. I'm getting more attention than I ever have gotten. And then guess what? They're going to switch back to how they were before after a few weeks or after a few months. And that person's going to have hell as well. And they're going to go through the same cycle pattern with you unless they don't want to do it. Because some people they don't have a blind side to this. Some people don't have a blind side to narcissism or extreme cluster B or sociopathic behavior because they weren't raised around it. Many of us were raised around this behavior, so we have a blind side. We've become codependent through our childhood, and we've been raised to deal with it, to placate it, to accept the narrative, to go along with the narrative, to hope that they'll change, to hold out for hope. All that. Some people are not like that. They'll be like, hey, this is crazy. You're either going to get help or I'm gone. Okay, I'm going to try it again. I'm done. Okay, this relationship's over. I'm out. Hey, I'm going to pay for the next 2 months for the lease and I'll see you later. I hope you have a great day. But most of us can't do that because we come from the codependent background. We come from the mother or father that was narcissistic, extreme narcissism, malignant, covert, what have you, combination of things. Right. And so we're used to that. We're used to trying to placate, trying to get them to see their value, trying to have them see our value. You know, you're working so hard, and you're doing all these things and you're cooking dinner and you're doing this and you're cleaning the house and you're doing, oh, if I just do all this stuff, they'll see my value. If I just do all these things, they're going to figure out who I am. They're going to see my truth. They're going to see who I am. They're going to see that I really love them. That's not going to happen. I'm sorry. They don't see their own value. They're certainly not going to see your value. They're going to project on you. They're going to use you as a means to an end to separate themselves from what they have to do. As long as you're the bad person or you're the person standing in their way of something, then they always have the scapegoat. A lot of times they don't make their spouse the scapegoat. They might make someone outside that relationship the scapegoat, or a friend or a family member somehow the scapegoat. Maybe mom's the scapegoat. Maybe, who knows? The best man that was in the wedding is the scapegoat. Who knows what it is, but that is the key. It's the scapegoat because it gives them somebody to blame, to shame, the name to use over and over again as an excuse for their problems. So there's some questions I want you to ask yourself. And these are very powerful. And these are things that I want you to start asking if you're in this situation. If you're not in the situation and you're in a great relationship, or you're not in a relationship and you're happy, whatever, doesn't matter. But if you have a friend that's not happy. So if you're in a relationship dealing with this, please ask yourself these questions. If you have a friend that you're trying to talk to about this that doesn't seem to listen to you talk about enabling, responsibility, getting help versus chaos, share this with them. This will also help you because you've probably been talking to them until you're blue in the face and they don't seem to be changing. You're watching somebody 10, 15 years into this relationship or nothing's changed. That person's still going to get therapy, but they haven't gone. It's been 10 years, right? The problems are still there. You're hearing your friend tell you about all the issues. Nothing's changed, right? There's so many, or if you are married to this, or you're in a relationship with this, or this is a family member of yours, this is very important. Think about these things. What triggers me with this person? Am I still being triggered? Because our triggers directly reflect on things that we need to work on in our own life. If they're triggering us, what are they triggering us about? What is triggering? What is emotionally and mentally triggering? And what do they say to you that really triggers you? I want you to write these things down too. Because we got to work on those. That's what I work on with my clients is we work on those triggers so that there are no triggers. And so when somebody says something or does something, there's no, reaction. You might respond, but you're not reacting. You're not out of control. Nobody's getting you to lose your stuff. You're not yelling and screaming. None of that happens. You're just like looking at it like you know what's going on because you're tired of this. You're very well aware of the projection. You're very well understood about their situation, their circumstances, and their condition, whether or not they want to admit it or not. And I guess the next question would be, what needs to be worked out? Do you see this person actually getting help? How long has this been going on? That's something else to write down. How often have you tried to help this person and they don't follow through? How often have you gotten them a therapist, counselor, coach, or a minister? And each time that person gets close to dealing with the issues, with actually working on their issues, they are no longer good. They are no longer qualified. How often does that happen? How much step back have you taken in your life because of this relationship that's taking place in your life that's causing all this turmoil and all this emotional work, taking all this time and effort? How much have you separated yourself from other people in your life? How much have you separated yourself from your friends and family? How much have you done to separate yourself with your friends and family? And that's something that I want you to think about as well. Because that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. I mean, and that is, and that's something that you want to think about. That's a huge deal. I mean, like how far, what you've dealt with, what's changed in your life, and how many people have you kind of left behind because you're so busy taking care of this issue, this trauma, this drama on a constant basis? How has this impacted your business, your friends, your family, everybody, coworkers, mom, dad, best friends? Think about that, because that has taken a toll for most people. Most people can't even identify their life after 10 years of being in a relationship like this because things have changed so much in not a good way. And that person is still creating chaos, not taking responsibility, and nothing's changed with them, except for everything in your life has changed. You become the enabler. You become the doormat. You become that person that does everything, and that person still doesn't see your value. And last but not least, a lot of people are in these relationships because of their fears. The fear of the unknown, the fear of being alone, the fear of going this life by themselves. But I've realized that challenging relationships like this cause so much problems, stress and anxiety, blood pressure issues, heart issues. The stress and strain on your body is amazing. I mean, I've worked with clients where literally I'm looking at them for the first day and they look 15 years older than somebody their same age because they have internalized so much stress and anxiety and anger and fear. And so maybe looking at how much fear is ruling your life, how much fear is keeping this person in your life. Where is the fear factor? How much fear are you feeling? And when you think about letting go of this relationship, can you see yourself letting go? And if you can't, that's something you're going to need to work on. And I advocate the concept of, trying a couple more times to get them to see the truth. But if you've tried for years, trying a few more times isn't going to hurt, but I think you have to have a cutoff date. When is this done? When am I stop trying? And when do I have to see some sort of action? And what happens when I don't see that action? What's my plan of action? What is my plan of action? Now, if they don't do any action, that's fine, but what is my plan? What is my action? What am I going to do with my life? How am I going to change my life? How am I going to move the needle in my life? What am I going to do? Nobody's going to give you a medal of honor for this. And some of you are sitting on the sidelines. Some of you are not in the marriage that's having this, not in the family. You're a friend. Maybe you're a coworker and you're watching this and you too have been on the sidelines of your life trying to help this other person help another person. And you too have wasted so much of your life trying to help your friend that's in this relationship with this person that doesn't want help because you've spent hours and hours of listening to it on the phone. You spent hours and hours of talking about it over coffee when you could have been doing other things in your life. And that's the thing. This affects everybody. This type of chaos affects everybody. I mean, if you're dealing with this chaos in your life, everybody that's close to you is dealing with this chaos in their life. The people that really matter to you and the people you open up to, they're happy to help, but there comes a time where everybody has to see some action. Everybody has to see this person come around and do it. And if they're not, you have to put your foot down and have a boundary and say, what am I willing to deal with in my life? What am I not willing to deal with? And can I overcome my fears in my life to overcome this and change my trajectory of my life? I work with clients on a daily basis to overcome relationships that haven't been working for a long time. They haven't really ever worked. And we have to go through the fear and the stress and the anxiety to move through it, but we do it with ease. We cover our bases. We turn over every stone before we do make any changes. We do everything we can to make sure we have no regret. We see the situation clearly, and then we work positively, move on, and then we recreate a new life based on our values and our direction and where we want to be. And we focus our energy back on us for the first time in our life to be able to successfully live our life and overcome the damage from the past 2, 5, 10, 12, 20, 25, 30 years. It's up to you. If you want to work with me, you can definitely just go online, ashleyberges.com. Just click on that coaching section page, coaching sessions. Go in there. You can set up an appointment right then, right there online, ashleyberges.com, coaching sessions, done deal. You can also go to that contact page. You can send me an email as well. And if you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, definitely do that. I put out new video content throughout the week on subject matters that affect us: narcissism, BPD, overcoming traumatic situations, dealing with very challenging spouses, coworkers, family members, how to deal with this, how to process it, how to move on, how to find success in our relationships, because our relationships are such a key part of our life. If we have a bunch of really kind of toxic relationships, we're probably not very happy in our life. And so I'm wanting everybody to find that happiness, find that connection, find their direction, and be able to hone in some of that energy so that they can do what they need to for themselves. I hope that this podcast has helped. Please share with any family or friends that need to hear this. And if you need to hear this, listen to this a couple of times. Maybe go walk around the block. Maybe go to the gym. Maybe just drive around and listen to this a few times, because this information needs to be into your brain. It needs to be ingrained so that you remember it, so that it really goes in, so that we can actually make positive change. Because you're going to need some coaching as you go through this and after it to get back to where you need to be at. And actually not back, to be at the highest level that you should be at. Because we've gotten into the situation that's probably created a lot of havoc in your life. There's probably emotional turmoil, a lot of triggers. And when somebody is not taking responsibility for their actions, remember, they're projecting on you. And that projection leads to insecurity. It leads to fear. It leads to even more fear of leaving the relationship. So I hope that this has helped. Please share. And in the meantime, don't forget to live your true life. And you've been living to the Ashley Berges Show, originally named Live Your True Life Perspectives. Have a great one.